and welcome back to Travel Secrets with TV's Dave Galvan. This is the show where we pull back the velvet curtain on travel and talk about the stuff nobody else will. Today we're asking a question that kind of sounds like fantasy, but for some people, it's their real life, and that is, can you actually live on a cruise ship? I'm talking full-time, no mortgage, no HOA, no neighbors borrowing your Wi-Fi, just blue water, breakfast buffets, and maybe a captain who knows your drink order. Well, the short answer is yes, you can. The long answer is grab your life vest because we're going to dive deep. Let's start with the fantasy version because that's what gets everybody hooked. You wake up, you open your balcony door, and the Caribbean breezes hits you. No bills to pay, no dishes to wash, meals are covered, shows every night, and someone folds your towel into zoo animals. Then there's a guy they call Super Mario who's a legend. He's lived on sea for about 20 years. His apartment is a cabin on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. He's seen more sunsets than most people see text messages. And guess what? There's an entire community of people, retirees, digital nomads, remote workers, who decided, why have one home when the whole world could be your backyard? Let's talk money, because the fantasy sounds nice, but Visa doesn't take dreams as payment. Living on a cruise ship full-time will run you about $100 to $200 a day, depending on the cruise line and your loyalty perks. That's $3,000 to $6,000 a month, which sounds like a lot until you compare it to rent, food, car insurance, healthcare, streaming subscriptions, and all the other ways that it bleeds you dry. And remember, the price does cover your housing, your food, entertainment, cleaning, utilities, and travel. You're basically outsourcing your adulthood. Some people even hack it cheaper. They book back-to-back repositioning cruises, negotiate long-term discounts, or snag last-minute deals. And cruise lines do love loyal passengers. Rack up enough sea days and you'll start seeing perks that'll make Marriott jealous. So yeah, it can be expensive, but depending on how you swing it, it might not be insane, especially when you realize it's cheaper than some of those retirement homes. Okay, so let's get practical. How do you actually live on a cruise ship without losing your mind or your socks? Mail. Most long-term cruisers have it sent to virtual mailboxes or a relative. Laundry, self-serve, or ship service. I've actually known people who will take their laundry to the ports, leave the ship, and find a laundromat service somewhere in Cozumel. Yeah, it happens. What about healthcare? There's an onboard doctor for small stuff, but real hospital if things get serious. Internet, way better than it used to be. Starlink and newer systems mean you can actually work remote now. And yes, there's a social scene. When you're living at sea, you're part of a rotating neighborhood. Every week, a new batch of strangers becomes your dinner companions. If you're outgoing, you'll love it. If not, well, noise-canceling headphones are your friend. Oh, and the crew? Yeah, they can act like a de facto family. The bartenders know your drink. The cabin stewards know your name. You'll probably get invited to a crew karaoke, and trust me, those folks can sing. Now, let's talk about the future of cruise living because it's actually here now. New ships are being designed specifically for full-time living. Storyline's MV narrative is basically a floating luxury condo tower. Apartments start at around $1 million, but you get a kitchen, a workspace, a balcony, and the world is your backyard. Or check out Villa Vi Residences. They're repurposing older cruise ships into permanent homes at sea, selling cabins for as low as $100,000 with a monthly maintenance fee. And these aren't retirement ships. They're building them for remote workers and digital nomads and anyone who wants a life less ordinary. Imagine having your Zoom background actually be the Mediterranean. I mean, that's kind of cool. They're pitching it as global living without moving, which sounds suspicious like heaven for a lot of people who hate airports. Like me. So let's get into the why, because this lifestyle isn't just about avoiding rent. It's about what the ocean does to people. There's something addictive about motion, that's endless horizon, the rhythm of waves, the feeling that you're always going somewhere. People who live at sea often say they feel lighter, less clutter, fewer decisions, no traffic. You start living in the moment because every day brings a new port, new people, new perspective. But it's not all sunsets and sea breezes. There is isolation. Cabin fever, literally. Some folks burn out after a few months because there's nowhere to hide. Privacy is a luxury and the walls are very thin. Still, many do it long term, say the pros do outweigh the cons. They trade space for freedom, routine for discovery, and honestly, that can sound like a pretty solid deal. Now, here's where things can get wild. The next generation of ships are being designed with AI and sustainability in mind. Imagine AI concierges that plan your excursions, order your favorite breakfast automatically, adjust your cabin temperature based on your mood, electric propulsion systems, onboard hydroponic farms. These ships are turning into mini floating ecosystems. Cruise lines are already experimenting with zero emissions vehicles, and by 2030, we can see fully autonomous ships that can reroute around weather or political unrest without human input. Basically, the floating city of the future isn't science fiction anymore. It's just waiting for your deposit. Let's talk about the part that the cruise brochures don't show you, the negatives of living on a cruise ship, because while endless ocean views does sound romantic, it's not all Mai Tais and midnight buffets. First of all, the cabin life. Sure, you can book a suite, but most people living full-time on board are in smaller staterooms. Think a decent-sized walk-in closet with a portal and a bathroom. Space is tight. You have to shrink down your entire existence down to a suitcase and a dream. Even with a minimalist mindset, cabin fever will become very real. You start to miss mundane things like driving a car or even mowing the grass. Next is connectivity. Cruise Wi-Fi has improved, but it's still like trying to download a movie through a potato. Zoom calls lag, videos buffer, and you'll find yourself screaming, I just need to send one email at least once a week. Healthcare is another big one. Ships do have medical centers, but if something serious happens, you're looking at an evacuation, and that can be both stressful and wildly expensive. Long-term residents have to factor in regular checkups on land, which does add to the complexity and the cost of your lifestyle. Then there's the social side. You'll meet tons of people, but most are just passing through. You might form great friendships, and then they're gone. You'll never see these people again. Crew members change ships. Passengers disembark. It does get lonely. It's like living in a small town that constantly disappears and then reappears somewhere else. Let's not forget the motion sickness. Every season, travelers have their bad days. There's nothing like trying to enjoy your breakfast while the ocean reminds you who's boss. And finally, the too much of a good thing problem. The food is endless. The drinks flow freely. The entertainment never stops. Without discipline, you can end up living in a floating Las Vegas. Your waistline, your wallet, and your sanity will all notice. So yes, it's a dream for many people, but it's not for everyone. The ocean offers freedom, but it also demands flexibility, patience, and a strong stomach. If you're still curious about a life at sea, maybe try a long repositioning cruise or a world cruise segment first. Test drive the lifestyle before you trade your house keys for a key card. So, can you live on a cruise ship? Yes, absolutely. People are already doing it, and the number's growing. But should you? That depends on whether you're running to something or from something. If you crave simplicity, adventure, and waking up somewhere new every morning, it's a dream. If you need space, structure, and Amazon Prime next day delivery, yeah, maybe not. The ocean has a way of stripping life down to its essentials. Beauty, movement, connection. Maybe that's why the idea of living at sea hits so deep. Because for some of us, home was never meant to be one place anyway. Well, that's it for today's episode of Travel Secrets with TV's Dave Galvan. That's me. If you like this one, subscribe, leave a review, and tell me in the comments, would you live in a cruise ship full time? Because I'm telling you right now, I would totally do it. But only if they promise to upgrade my buffet coffee. Seriously, it can be really bad. Until next time, safe travels, and remember, life's too short to unpack twice.